Hello everyone and welcome back to another KTANE tutorial. Today I'll be covering the 50 Blessings module. Now, on the module itself, you'll see a phone right here, a submit button, left and right buttons, and 4 so-called blueprints. The sequence of blueprints are random, so I'll refer to these as the first blueprint, second blueprint, third blueprint, and fourth blueprint. In order to solve this module, we'll pretty much need to submit the correct blueprints. Now, in order to do that, our first step is to pick up the calls. The phone will ring pretty much every 52 seconds or so, and we'll pretty much need to note down who called in. So if you scroll down right here, you'll get the transcript for the calls that you might get. You'll have about 5 seconds to pick up each call. So let me wait for a little bit.
Hi, this is Rick from the USB office. There's a showing for an apartment downtown today. It's at Southwest 121st Street, apartment 35, open house. Just swing on by when you have the time.
So our first person is Rick, and pretty much we need to do the same thing for the second call. So we'll wait a little bit. We have about 25 seconds or so. So we need to wait for a little bit.
Hello, it's Linda. I need a babysitter right away. Got a few kids that need to be disciplined here. I'm at East 7th Street. Make sure you have a long talk with men. I really need someone to get through to me restroom. And like less time, please be discreet.
So now we got our two names, right? We can go to this table right here. If the transcription wasn't clear enough because of the overall robotic voice, you can pick up the phone for the third time to get the first call, pick up the phone for the fourth time to get the second call, and so on and so on. Now that we have our names, we can pretty much go to this table here and select the column and the row that the names correspond to. So we have Linda and Rick. And we need to find the intersection, which is over here. This intersection is so-called the maze key. So I'll write down 3. The maze key corresponds to these mazes over here in Appendix Phone Book. But before we can select our maze, we need to change a little bit. For instance, we need to change the key by adding the first serial number digit and then subtracting the last serial number digit. So the serial number, there it is. Let me write down. So November Alpha 2, Hotel Whiskey 5. So add the first serial number digit, so 3 plus 2 is 5. And then subtract the last serial number digit. So 5 minus 5 is 0. If there are either 1 or 0 digits in your serial number, you'll pretty much skip this step. Just don't modify the key itself. Now, if you pretty much have 1... Now, if you get a value below 0, you can pretty much just add 1 to the key itself. So do that. Once you actually have your maze key, we'll pretty much use maze 1, which is this maze. And now we have to determine our coordinates. This coordinate system is a little bit different from what you would most likely use. Topmost is A, and bottom is E, and columns are numbers, which leftmost is 1 and rightmost is 5. So from top to bottom would be alpha to echo, and from left to right would be from 1 to 5. So our first coordinate would follow X number. X corresponds to the letter itself, where we need to get the first letter of the serial number, which is November. And then subtract that number by 5 letters. So letter N. I don't actually know my alphabet positions, so N is 14th in the alphabet. 14 minus 5 would correspond to 9. And 9, and the ninth letter in the alphabet is J, or Juliet. And we need to subtract 5 until it's within the range of alpha to echo. So just keep doing that process. So 9 minus 5 would be 4, and 4 corresponds to delta. So delta, and the number is the first serial number, which is 2, added to or subtracted by 5 until it is the position of between 1 and 5. If it is already in the between 1 and 5, you don't need to do this step. And the second coordinate, you do it pretty similarly, but instead of using the first number of the serial number and the first letter of your serial number, you'll use the second letter and the second digit of the serial number. So alpha would be our letter. We don't need to do any steps because alpha is already in the range of the alpha to echo. And 5. We don't need to do any steps here. So now once you have your coordinates right here, we'll pretty much consult this maze right here. Which once again, rows are letters, which topmost is A, bottom is E, and columns are numbers. So leftmost is 1 and rightmost is 5. So alpha 5 would be this one over here, and delta 2 would be over here, if I'm correct. Check. Yep, it will be somewhere around here. Now, as you might have noticed, there are pretty much dotted lines. Pretty much dotted lines are pretty much implied that there's the side on the map. You can pretty much go to the other side of the maze. You can wrap around, you could say. And now that you have your positions, you pretty much have to consult this part of the manual. Using the coordinates, follow the rules below to determine which blueprint to select, with A representing the first coordinate and B the second. So, is there a path from A to B and the cells at A to B are the same color? No, there are different colors and no path. If there's not a path from A to B, but the cells at A to B are same color, no path. There is a path from A to B, but cells A to B not same color, no path from A to B, and cells at A to B are not the same color, use the fourth. And that rule applies. So pretty much we use the fourth blueprint. So 1, 2, 3, 4. No, wait, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. So that's pretty much for the module. I'll show you another example. So here's another example that I have. Let me just note down the serial number, which would be Delta Whiskey 7 Romeo Golf 7. I pretty much have to wait for the call. So get my appendix mission ready.
Ready, ready. This is Greg speaking. We have a job for you. There's a power outage over on Northeast 24th Street. We already sent someone over a while ago.
So Blake.
He didn't do a very good job. Head over there right away. Keep it quick and clean.
By the way, if you strike on this module, the phone calls will pretty much not reset itself, so you won't have to do it all over again. So we just wait for a little bit.
Hi, it's the from Hotel Group. We need you tonight. Our receptionist went home due to stomach problems, and we have some VIPs who will be staying with us today. Make sure you give them a great stay. That will be your top priority this evening.
So we got our people now. Now it's time to do work. Blake Dawn. 3. First coordinate located at X. X is the first letter of the serial number. Delta. Seven minus 5 would be 6, 1, 4, 3, 2. So delta 2. I don't need to do any additional steps. And the same thing. Whiskey. Or at least not what I searched previously. So 23. 23 minus 5. So Charlie. And it would be. Serial has no letters. Serial now pretty much do the same thing, but letters so be 2 as well. So Maze 3, Delta, 4 and Charlie 2. Alpha, Beta, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. The fourth will apply, so 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's pretty much it for this module. I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial, and I'll see you guys again in the next one.